Yeah, I know. I'm like a broken record. I am excited once again, for the next piece of this van project. This one's actually been worked on for quite a long time, and I'm calling it my garage. And as I've said many times before, if you don't have the skill, or you need to do something that brings a bit of expertise in, it doesn't hurt to ask for friends that have that skill. So I am at my friend's workshop, who we've been using for cutting some of the wood elements. And one of them is an engineer, and Al, and he actually helped me design my garage in 3D. Actually, I didn't do any of that work. I just drew it out on paper, and then he did all the 3D modeling so that we could buy extruded aluminum. And this stuff is really light and super strong. And because my garage section is gonna house and handle so many different aspects for my van, not only my bikes inside, but it's gonna hold my water tanks, or my water tank, fresh water tank. It's gonna hold a surface on the top for cutting. It's gonna hold my hot water heater. It's gonna hold my stove. I felt like I really wanted to have something quite a bit stronger than just wood. So used 80/20, and Al has actually already gone and created a cut sheet for me with all the pieces. So we just ordered the raw stock in full lengths, and we'll go and cut it. We have a blade that's meant for cutting aluminum, and just gonna chop it up. Then next step after that is gonna be putting it together like Legos. So we have connectors for all the corner pieces. Anyways, I'll show you as we go along. But again, very excited, just because this is one of those projects that I've personally been working on and thinking about since the beginning of the van. As I drew everything out, that was one of the first things I did. Even before I drew out cabinets, I drew out this garage. And mostly because it's gonna house my bikes, and that's a really important part of this van for me. So without further ado, let's get going. It's hot.
When you cut it, it gets a little bit hot and it expands in length quickly. Okay, so when you pull this down and you're just about ready to go through, the whole thing expands a little bit, and it starts pushing on the side of the blade.
Okay.
And it wants to jam.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you have to do is push it into the stock and then release it so that it can stretch this way instead of that way.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
You do the same thing in a machine shop.
Yeah.
When you're cutting aluminum, you push to a stop and then flip the stop out of the way so it can stand.
Oh wow.
This will go this way.
Yep.
This way. It goes down, in and out, and you can do this with it. And this at the same time, which you would need to do to cut the corners for a crown molding.
Okay.
So it's very versatile.
Yeah. All right, so the best way to cut for Al is to take a small piece off at the end. That gives you a really good truing point. And then I start with the longest cuts, and then whatever piece is left, I do the next longest cut. This maximizes the material I have, because I can keep getting smaller and smaller increments, fitting just the right piece in. And it's worked well so far. Also, I'll show you on the next cut. So this actually helps me hold down my piece. And I found out the hard way that the aluminum gets very hot quickly, so don't touch the piece that just got cut. So we'll do another 41 inch. And then the other trick that was just mentioned is, so on the teeth of the blade, they alternate. One's this way and one's this way in terms of spacing. So we want to make sure that we get this really accurate. So I bring it down and make sure we're gonna cut, but then I also go to the next blade and make sure that that is still okay, because like I said, one blade is this way, one blade is this way. So I want to pick the one that's the farthest this direction, because that's going to be where the material is ultimately going to come from. There we go. One should be 41, and you can see it's almost right on. Now that I've cut all my individual pieces of 80/20, I actually have 17 different lengths, and I have, I think, 36 pieces altogether. And it's listed here, and again, I am lucky enough to be working with somebody that has good knowledge in this stuff. So he went ahead with our 3D model that was created. He went and actually marked all the different sizes that I need to cut. So went and did that. My next step is that I need to actually create a hole in it. You can see it right here. And that is so that my tool, my Allen wrench, can fit through the back and access the screw bracket that I'm going to put in the end of whatever my cross piece is. The other thing I need to do is actually create a tap, or tap the end of these so that they can accept a screw. And when both those are done together, I can then slide in, right, line up, and then from the back or through the back, I can actually tighten it. And that's going to be the basis for me building out my entire garage system. There'll be some brackets that'll be used for strength, but those will all be put on at the end. In any case, so this is ready to go, and I'll show you how I tap and do the cross hole. All right, so I'm using this this drill press to put my cross holes through that I was talking about, and then using a fixture to make sure that I repeat in the same exact spot for each of my holes I put in. This is just a side comment, but whenever you're doing something more than, I don't know, a half dozen times, you should, if it's the same action, you should probably spend a little energy and make yourself a jig or a fixture to assure that you're doing that step consistently over and over again. It's a time saver, and it also makes sure, again, you get the same job each time. And this is a fixture that, you know, was here already in Alan Adams' shop, but this could easily be done with a piece of wood and, you know, some tape to kind of mark where you want to put it, and maybe a wood clamp to clamp it down. For this particular piece, I need to do it from two different sides, because I'm going to actually be mounting or connecting two different pieces. So the nice thing about this setup is we actually put a stop on it, so I can only go down so far. It'll break just through the back and then stop. And then I need to turn it. And do the other side. Done. Voila. So putting the or tapping the end of my 80/20 is super easy. It just takes a normal hand drill, a little tap magic, which is essentially cutting fluid made for taps. And the nice thing is it's self-guiding. So you don't have to worry about perfect perpendicularity as soon as you start going. There we go, that's it. And now on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. All right, so coming at you with try number 2. This is the finished product, or I should say almost finished product, in terms of the framing of my garage. However, it is built as a mirror opposite, or a mirror of what I actually need. So this extension here needs to be on that side, and this support beam needs to be on that side. I did this, the last thing we were putting together, it hit me that I had built this in reverse. And while it may not be hard, or may be hard to kind of see this, when looking at a 3D object like this with this much complexity, your eyes can play tricks on you, and it can look like it's in reverse. So that's what happened. My bad. Anyways, I guess I'll get really good at taking it apart and putting it back together. Luckily, about maybe 70% of this I'll be able to salvage, and Adam has agreed to help me rebuild it again. So thank you, Adam. All right, now the moment of truth. Dun 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 dun. Okay, I'll step up. Hard to tell because the van's like this, but yeah, I think it works.
It looks pretty good. I mean,
because everything's lined up here, and so this is when having a project that you can move to the next stage, or another piece of it pays off, because inevitably in something like this that's got this many pieces to it, you're gonna have delays for some reason. For instance, you saw for my cabinets, I had lots of delays around many things. One of them was just I couldn't get some wood. So in this, with my garage, I'm in one of the last steps in terms of my goal is just to build the garage structure, and I have these AccuRide slides. They're awesome, and went around and around trying to figure out which ones I was going to get. So I got these. They're heavy duty. I can do like 300 to 450 pounds with the pair, but because I was originally going to have them flat, like this, but they hold so much less than if I put them sideways. I was able to figure out how to hook them up sideways. Unfortunately, I needed these little T nuts, I think they're called, to slide within the framing of this. And actually, this is another change I did. I kind of beefed up this piece of my garage because I'm going to hold my 40-gallon water tank on top here, and I'll show that in a little later. But in order to mount this slide, I have to use these tracks in the 80/20, which is awesome, but you can't get the stuff very easily. So you really have to do it buy it from the 80/20 site directly. If you buy it on Amazon, it's really expensive. You get a lot more than you need. And so this took me, I love the people there. They were really nice at the 80/20 site, but it took me a couple weeks just to get these few T-nuts. I have what I need now, so I can finish this. I can attach the slide, and then I can attach this to the side of my garage, and I'll be close to being done. The only thing left at this step is to to cut the wood for my my bike slide here. I think that's gonna be close to it. I might end up hooking up my electrical in there, but I'm not sure. I think I might wait till I get to the point of putting the walls in here to do that piece. So I'm putting the finishing touches on my garage, at least the inner workings of it. The outside elements like the finished wall that I'm gonna do that later when I do like the cabinet doors and so on. But so this last part, you saw the slide already. I cut my wood for my bike slide, and I'm about to put it on, and then I have a bike mount that I'll show in a second. Okay, well, I've got my my wood all in and installed. It works really well. It's quite solid. And my next step is, you can see that this is a pretty long piece of wood. So this slide comes out 30 inches, but my wood goes almost 70 inches back. And you can see back there that it's a kind of an odd shape. It gets narrower, and I don't need it to be wider. I did it on purpose to give me more room inside the van, because I only need to house my kind of the two back ends of the bikes when it goes back that far. But I need to figure out a way of keeping the wood from scraping on the floor, because there's quite a big overhang, and it would just scrape back and forth over time, and I have a little bit of weight on it, like I will with a bike. So my friend next door, Steve, he actually suggested that I use furniture slides, which I thought was a brilliant idea. So I'm going to put a couple of them underneath that end, and it's not much weight anyways, but this will keep it both level, and it'll keep it from scraping over time. So this is good. And then I plan on putting some sides on this eventually. I'm just going to do it maybe later when I'm doing miscellaneous stuff to fill in time. So I'm going to have a side on this side and a side on this side. I'll use the Craig pocket jig that I showed in an earlier video. It's really easy to put, wood pieces together like that, and it's solid. And then I will cover the whole thing with a rubber mat, like you see in garage floors, so that when I have my bikes, even though I plan on having a water spigot back here to wash things off, it'll still capture any dirt or mud or water that comes down and make it a bit easier to clean, so things don't get into the edges. So the last big thing I'm going to do is put my bike mount on, and I'll just show you it after the fact. But with my handlebars, they have to turn sideways to come in. The front wheel will come off, and I have this.
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing.
This is a Rocky mount, or Rocky Mounts bike mount, and I liked it because it is really easy to open and close and put your bike in there. But when you turn a bike handlebar sideways, you'll notice that it actually causes the forks to pivot a little bit, and they won't be at a flat. One will be higher than the other. So I need to figure out what that is. So I have just a wedge here from a scrap piece, and I'm going to use that to figure out what the appropriate angle is. Then I'll mark it, and I'll use this as a template to cut a bigger piece of wood to fit under this. And once that works, I'll do it for a second one, and that will allow me to have two bikes in really close proximity to each other by having them sideways. Anyways, so that's it, and I'll show you this piece when I'm done.